A female agent was browsing the internet when she stumbled across a disturbing live stream. In the video, someone had placed cat food right next to a glue trap, deliberately luring a kitten toward it. Desperate for food, the starving kitten stepped onto the trap without a second thought, and in the end, all it could do was stare at the meal just inches away as the life slowly drained out of it. Viewers in the chat flooded the stream with furious comments, tearing into whoever was behind this cruelty. Even Jenny couldn't stomach it, and since she happened to work in cybercrime enforcement, she jumped into action right away and shut the site down. But when she typed the URL back in to double-check, the livestream page popped right back up. Jenny realized she was dealing with a highly skilled hacker, someone who couldn't be stopped by ordinary means. She traced the site's origin, only to find the servers were based in Russia, which made the investigation exponentially harder. To make matters worse, a co-worker gave her some frustrating news. Jenny had no choice but to put the case on the back burner. But a few days later, that horrifying live stream fired up again. This time, though, the victim wasn't an animal. It was a living, breathing person. The words, "Let's kill together," the name of the streaming site, were scrawled across his chest, and a needle-pumping poison was stuck into his body. As the viewer count climbed, the poison flowed in faster. This sick death stream blew up online almost instantly, drawing a massive audience. Before long, the victim's nose started to bleed, and Jenny launched a full investigation. During the investigation, her co-worker dug up a crucial lead, a file identifying the blogger who first promoted this kill stream site. Shockingly, the person turned out to be nothing more than a college sophomore. But when police traced the IP address, they found the location wasn't the student's home. It was an ordinary restaurant. Just when Jenny was hitting a dead end, a male agent stepped up to help her crack the case. He mentioned he'd just come from the victim's home, where the wife told him her husband was a taxi driver who'd gone out for his shift the night before and hadn't been heard from since. But even as they were talking, the viewer count kept exploding, and the driver didn't make it. Not long after, his body turned up in the trunk of a senator's car. Once the news broke, it sent shockwaves through the country. Some thought the killer was taunting the government, while others suspected the senator himself was behind it all. With speculation and pressure mounting, the police ramped up the investigation, determined to catch the real culprit as fast as possible. But the killer's hacking skills were on another level, and no matter how hard Jenny dug, she couldn't find a single solid lead. Then one day, the case finally got its break. This time, it was the second victim of the kill stream, and the target was a journalist. On camera, the man was shirtless with his hands locked in thick concrete, trapped in a dim basement surrounded by dozens of blazing heat lamps. As the viewer count grew, the lamps burned hotter and hotter, and before long, the room hit 144 degrees. As everyone watched with bated breath, the man's lips suddenly started twitching, like he was repeating some kind of coded sequence. On the other end of the screen, the police quickly picked up on it. The number the victim was mouthing was 8808. Following that lead, the police tracked down the residence marked 8808. But when they busted through the door, the place was completely empty. The only thing left behind was a computer sitting on the table. The screen was playing a news clip on loop, the one where police publicly vowed to spare no expense in hunting down the mastermind behind the kill stream. Clearly, this was all part of the killer's game. He'd known all along that the cops would end up here, and he'd left the video as a taunt. The rescue attempt ended in failure, and the victim died from the extreme heat. Facing a killer with such sharp counter-surveillance instincts, Jenny knew her only shot at a lead was to dig into the victims themselves. She had her co-worker pull every file they had on the victim. The results showed he was a journalist who regularly posted videos online, almost all of them centered on violence, self-harm, and other extreme content, designed to hook viewers with shock value. Jenny threw herself into the case, working around the clock without sleep, never realizing she'd already landed on the killer's radar as his next target. The next morning, when her daughter woke up, a disturbing image suddenly flashed across her computer screen. The girl walked to the window and picked up her cat, only to see her own reflection show up on the screen in real time. She immediately realized someone was watching the house, and she rushed downstairs to hunt for the hidden camera. Meanwhile, Jenny had just finished showering and returned to her room, where she happened to catch the live stream, and the person on camera was her own daughter. Realizing her daughter was in danger, Jenny grabbed her hidden gun and bolted downstairs, calling her daughter's name over and over. Once outside, she found the area completely deserted, with just one unfamiliar car parked nearby. As Jenny scanned her surroundings on edge, she spotted her daughter hiding in a corner, safe for the moment. She had her mother take her daughter somewhere safe, then carefully approached the suspicious vehicle. Sure enough, there was a camera inside broadcasting the live feed. In a fit of rage, Jenny smashed the camera to pieces. Then she popped the trunk and found the body of the journalist who'd just been killed. Seeing this, Jenny completely lost it. She couldn't believe this ruthless killer had now set his sights on her own family. Back inside, Jenny immediately checked her daughter's computer and found a game riddled with malware. It finally clicked. This was how the killer had broken into her home network and forced her devices to open the killstream site. To keep her daughter out of harm's way, Jenny asked the police to arrange protection and send her daughter away to stay with her grandmother until things blew over. Not long after her daughter left, Jenny got a call from her co-worker. He told her he'd found a hidden connection between several of the victims, one that might finally lead them to the mastermind. They agreed to meet at the precinct, but Jenny waited, and her co-worker never showed. Just then, that all too familiar kill stream started up again, and the victim on screen was the very co-worker who'd just called her. He was trapped inside a completely sealed water tank. A pipe connected to the bottom was steadily pumping in sulfuric acid, and the more viewers tuned in, the more acid the system pumped in. In just 3 minutes, the viewer count blew past 7 million. In the middle of the chaos, the trapped co-worker started blinking non-stop, and the police watching quickly caught on that he was sending Morse code. But they'd only managed to jot down a short string of letters before the victim ran out of strength and couldn't keep blinking. Meanwhile, the liquid in the tank slowly turned crimson with his blood. Sadly, the police couldn't save him in time. It hit Jenny like a ton of bricks, because she just lost her closest partner, and there was no way she was letting the killer walk. Jenny went over her co-worker's final message again and again, and something suddenly clicked. She pulled out a disk, popped it into her computer, and searched for the same keyword across her case files. To her surprise, she quickly turned up a news clip about a college professor who jumped off a bridge. The moment she saw the footage, Jenny finally understood what her co-worker had been trying to expose. On the day of the professor's suicide, the police had set up over a dozen cameras at the scene, but not one of them had captured the actual jump. The only person who'd recorded the whole thing was the first victim of the kill stream, the taxi driver. Looking to cash in, the driver had sold the footage to a journalist, the same journalist who later became the second target of the kill stream. At the time, the journalist's TV station was struggling with terrible ratings. Since the professor's suicide had captured national attention, the network kept replaying the footage to boost their numbers, even packaging the tragedy as sensational entertainment news. Watching his father's death get exploited and sensationalized like that pushed the professor's son over the edge. As an elite hacker, he used his skills to take revenge on everyone who'd profited from his father's tragedy. As for the cop's death, in the killer's mind, that was payback for the police's long history of dropping the ball and turning a blind eye. As the investigation moved forward, the police zeroed in on their suspect and sent a large team to the professor's son's home. Sure enough, they found the body of Jenny's co-worker in the basement. But the killer was one step ahead and had vanished again without a trace. There was nothing Jenny could do but walk away empty-handed. A few days later, Jenny was driving alone down the road, and as she crossed the bridge where the professor had killed himself, her car suddenly cut out with no warning, and her phone died on its own. Feeling something was off, Jenny got out and headed for a nearby payphone to call for backup. But right as she hung up, the headlights on her car flickered back on out of nowhere. She drew her gun and cautiously moved in to check, and luckily, there was no one inside. Just as Jenny was about to get back in her car and drive off, a dark figure crept up behind her without a sound. Before she could even turn around, she was hit with a jolt from a stun gun and blacked out instantly. When she came to, she was in an unfamiliar sealed room, hanging upside down in midair with an industrial meat grinder waiting right beneath her. That's right, the death stream was live again, and the viewer count was climbing at a terrifying pace. Everyone knew that if nobody clicked on the stream, Jenny might just make it out alive. But faced with the horror unfolding on screen, viewers kept tuning in anyway, just to feed their morbid curiosity. As the blades crept closer, Jenny thrashed her body, desperately looking for a way out. The killer assumed she was just flailing in her final moments, and even gleefully grabbed his camera to film it all. But what he didn't realize was that every move she made had a purpose. As her swinging picked up momentum, she finally grabbed hold of a nearby column and triggered a hidden mechanism. A powerful blast of gas shot straight into the killer's eyes, and the searing pain left him unable to see. While the killer was down for the count, Jenny quickly freed her feet. Then she charged at him and unloaded on his back with everything she had. He tried to fight back once he came to, but Jenny beat him to the gun that had fallen on the floor. A few gunshots later, the killer went down for good. The story seemed to end there, but plenty of viewers in the live stream still didn't log off. Maybe they were feeding a morbid curiosity, maybe they got off on that twisted kind of thrill and nobody really knows why. But one thing's crystal clear. The ones who watch evil unfold and choose to stay silent on the sidelines are the biggest reason it keeps happening at all.